down what's now Doomsday Hill, up to Northwest Boulevard, and then back downtown, and into Riverfront Park. The third year, there were so many people going across the bridge that the lampposts were shaking like this, and it looked like, well, the engineers told us that the bridge was not going to fall down, but they didn't say the same thing about the lights. Plus, not to pick on them, but Washington State engineers have had at least 2 bridges that have collapsed. The floating bridge in Seattle and Galloping Gertie out there at the by Tacoma. So we didn't really take them at their word on that anyway. But really what happened is we were growing so much that there was a bottleneck getting onto the bridge. So we decided to change to our current course because we didn't have that same problem. So we were stunned to see this kind of growth. First year about 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 13, 17, 22, something like that. Basically, we were growing by about 5,000 every year. And this was, looking back on it, we caught the wave of what those of us in the running industry call the first running boom. People were getting interested in running for fitness, cardiovascular fitness in particular, and running was a great event for people to stay in shape. So we caught that wave perfectly and grew very, very quickly. By about the 3rd year, we were already the 3rd largest race in the country, and we kind of stayed up in that same territory. Once we got up there around 50 to 60,000, we tended to level off, and that's where we stayed for quite a while. And I'll come back to this a little bit later. Anyway, these first few years, these scenes really stunned us to see how many people came to this event. This is going down Riverside. We used to do this thing where we went down into Peaceful Valley with about half of our field, and then the other half stayed on Riverside, and then they merged after about 2 miles, and there was a huge bottleneck. So we finally were able to eliminate that. And a nice aerial shot out at Government Way. And then this is just 2 years ago. We've moved everybody to start on Riverside now, and that's what about 50 to 60,000 people look like just before they start. So it's really quite a spectacle. And right now, the biggest race in the country, based on number of time finishers, is the Peachtree Road Race, one of the inspirations for Bloomsday. We're 2nd, and the Boulder out in Colorado is 3rd right now. We are organized as a nonprofit, and we operated as a nonprofit even the 1st year, but we organized as a nonprofit our 2nd year. And this is our mission. So our mission is not to make money, although we don't want to lose money, but we want to promote the sport, for the sport in itself, but also for the betterment of the general public. So the event itself, we hope, inspires people to be in shape, to get in shape. But we also do some things that are not on race weekend that I want to mention as we go along here. One of them is we do a lot of different programs relating to youth. And one of them is called, I'll come back to these in a minute here, but there are 4 of them that I'm going to mention. One is called Fit for Bloomsday, Fit for Life. Second one is our sponsorship of an elementary cross-country meet. A third one is we send a group of high school runners to the Foot Locker Cross Country Championship, or regional championships. And the 4th is a school challenge that we do as part of Bloomsday. The Fit for Bloomsday program, which is a 10-week program, running, jogging, walking in elementary schools in the area, I think is one of the best things that we do. And we provide the materials for either teachers or parent volunteers, PE instructors to use in their schools, and they get kids involved in this. This year we have over 80 schools and 8,000 students that are part of that program. A lot of them don't go the whole way, but about 3,500 complete the program. I just think that's just a great thing that we get so many kids involved in a fitness activity like running, jogging, and walking. The second one I mentioned, we sponsored the elementary cross-country meet in the fall. That has about 1,000 kids that qualify for that race, and we're the main sponsor for that. And then we also we have some great local high school runners in the region, and so we send about 30 of them, pay for their airfare down to compete in the Foot Locker Cross Country Championships down in Southern California. And then finally, we've added an event called the School Challenge as part of Bloomsday. That's for middle school, well actually 5th and 6th graders, as well as middle school and high school students. And so we're doing as many things as we can to really reach young people as part of our mission. This is how we're structured as an organization. We have a board of about 10 people. This is me, race director, off to the side. I'm hired by the board. I'm the one full-time paid person. I have an office assistant for about half the year who's paid. Other than that, we're volunteer all the way down the line. We have about 70 committee heads. Those are people who are in charge of specific areas of Bloomsday. And we have about that many volunteers, which is when you add everything before, during, and after Bloomsday, it takes about 5,000 volunteers to really make that happen. So it's a huge volunteer-driven organization. Our board, again, is 10 people, and they're not just an advisory board. They all have huge sections of the event that they are in charge of and that they spend a lot of time organizing. So, for example, Carol, who's our president this year, she's also our corporate cup coordinator, so she's in charge of making sure that all works. And Mark here is in charge of everything on the course, water aid on the course. John is in charge of the elite runners that come from around the world to compete here. Max is in charge of the finish line. Al's in charge of the start. So they all have huge components of the event that they are in charge of, and they have people that work, volunteers that work with them. But this is these are some of our main volunteer areas. This is one of our guys at the starting line. We have the people that when entries come through the mail, they have to enter them into the system. We actually are over 80% now that come online, but we still get a fair number that comes through the mail. Then we have the people that hand out all the information, the numbers and packets on race weekend. We have the people at the water aid stations along the way. And you only see one volunteer here at the finish line, but there's a fair number that help at the finish line as well. And then one big area is t-shirt distribution. And I was telling some of the students before that the t-shirt, the color of it and the design of it are kept a secret until the finish line. And that's a tradition that's developed kind of without a lot of thought on our part. We just sort of realized after a couple of years that people really liked the idea of not getting the t-shirt till the finish line and not seeing it until they got to the finish line. We actually had about our 4th or 5th year when and again, we were growing so fast that a lot of our systems that we had in place were not working very well. And about that 4th or 5th year, our t-shirt distribution, it took longer for people to get through the t-shirt line than it did to do Bloomsday. So we thought for a while maybe we should just get rid of the whole idea of giving them out at the finish and just give them out ahead of time, like a lot of events do. But we thought about it and we said, well, let's give a year and see if we can sort this out. And we were able to get enough volunteers and a good enough system that it still can be kind of slow going through those lines, but we are able to get those out at the finish line for people that actually finish. This is a chart that shows the number of finishers that we have in each division. So the blue is a number of females. And I keep looking at this and going, what is wrong with these guys 19 to 29? This is where all the good-looking, fit females are. Guys in this age group have got to start entering in bigger numbers. Now, over the years, these upper age groups have grown, but we're still